Everyone is part of a bigger story. It's a bigger story than you can imagine. It's a big story about a really big God. Discover the story that shows you the character of God.
Hey there, I'm Jose, and this is my Bible. It's like I've got a whole library right here. It's a library you can get excited and shout about. It's God's one big story, written down in 66 smaller books. The first part, the Old Testament, tells how God creates a beautiful world, and how the first people mess it up with terrible choices. But God loves them so much that he promises to rescue them. And in the very beginning of the New Testament, he sends Jesus to do just that. God's story doesn't stay between the pages of a book, though. It's a living story that we're a part of. God's given us everything, and because of what Jesus did for us, we can choose to be happy with our part in the story, and with what we've got right now. That's contentment, and I've got 5 stories that show what it looks like. We're off, and we're going to start in the book of Philippians. The Apostle Paul has been through some crazy things, like being arrested for teaching about Jesus. But even in the midst of that, he's got important words for the church in Philippi. He says, I have learned to be content no matter what happens to me. I am content whether I have more than enough or not enough. I can do all this by the power of Christ. He gives me strength. Get this, Paul is in prison when he's writing this letter. Yeah, and even though he's stuck in this tiny little room eating gruel, he says that God has given him the strength to be happy with what he's got. Wow. All right, time to jump to the Old Testament. Way in the Old Testament. To 1 Kings 21. Here, King Ahab has got everything he could ever want. Except for the vineyard of a regular everyday guy named Naboth. Now, Ahab offers to buy the vineyard, but Naboth's not selling. Ahab throws a hissy fit. He's so upset about the one small thing that he can't have that he won't even eat. But Ahab's wife, the queen, lies to get Naboth killed. So Ahab takes the vineyard anyway. Those juicy grapes don't make him happy though. In fact, they leave a very sour taste in his mouth when the prophet Elijah shows up with a word from God. Now we head back to the second book of the Bible, Exodus. God has led his people out of slavery in Egypt. They're free, so they're all grateful, right? Not so much. Instead of trusting God to provide what they need, they look back at their time as slaves through rosy glasses. Well, we had all the meat and food we wanted, they whine. And when God provides food from heaven, they find something new to complain about. It's enough to make Moses want to say, "No manna for you." Time to move back to the New Testament, to Luke chapter 12. Here, a young man wants Jesus to play judge. And he shoves his way through the crowd just to demand that Jesus make his brother share some money. Well, Jesus can see right away that this young man is making a huge deal about his stuff. Well, he's rich, all right, but he's not rich in the eyes of God. So Jesus tells him a story about an important dude whose whole life is wrapped up in stuff that he never even gets to enjoy. We're going to wrap up now in Matthew chapter 6. Here, Jesus is teaching a huge crowd of people high on a mountainside, and he goes straight to the heart of the biggest contentment killer. I tell you, do not worry. Don't say, "What will we eat?" or "What will we drink?" or "What will we wear?" Your Father who is in heaven knows that you need them. But put God's kingdom first. Do what he wants you to do. Then all those things will also be given to you. Fear will rob you of the chance to be happy with what you've got. But keep your focus on God, and he'll give you what you need for right now. Because no matter what is or isn't going on in your life, it's always possible to capture contentment. And I can't wait to see how it plays out in you and me.